Breaking tonight, 24 hours until the next presidential debate as Donald Trump tries to convince voters that actions speak louder than words. Hello and welcome to Justice. I'm Judge Jeanine Pirro. Thanks for being with us. You know, some damaging leaks actually affecting both campaigns tonight, and we'll get to all of it. But first, my opening statement. The comments are shameful and cringeworthy. The words are disgusting, devastating, and embarrassing. It's the kind of locker room and frat house talk that personally infuriates me. But guess what? I still, without a doubt, support Donald Trump. Look, you've got two options. A guy who admits he has a past, who spent his life building an empire in the rough and tumble world of real estate, entertainment, and television, both for and with his family, whose life direction wasn't about angling to get to the White House. Or a double-talking woman who hides the truth, lies about virtually everything, can't figure out what she did with $6 billion State Department dollars, and when confronted with the unassailable truth, arrogantly responds, "Don't believe your lying eyes." Now, I told you last week that this election is between someone who is politically incorrect and someone who is politically corrupt. And I said that there's a difference between words and action. Trump's words are horrific, but Hillary's actions have put our national security and our safety in jeopardy. Her State Department policy and decisions have created a vacuum where the men in Benghazi were killed because of her refusal to take care of those who were working for the State Department. Now, having a little trouble with the teleprompter here. Now, let me put this in perspective for you. Are you happy with the way things are? Or are you one of the 72% in this country who believe that we're going in the wrong direction, that the country is in decline, and that we are in desperate need of change? And by the way, is anyone really so stunned that a flamboyant billionaire who owns casinos is capable of speaking the way Donald Trump did? But he apologized. Most people accepted it. A lot didn't. But in the meantime, America is in a mess. The jobs and the economy are a disaster. ISIS has reached our shores, and police are being demeaned and targeted throughout the country. Immigration is out of control. Border Patrol tells us that in August, a record number crossed our border. And 10,000 Syrian refugees were brought into this country. Syrian refugees about whom we know nothing. Syrian refugees big enough to create their own town. Even Bill Clinton is tired of the con.
You've got this crazy system where all of a sudden 25 million more people have health care, and then the people are out there busting it sometimes 60 hours a week, wind up with their premiums doubled and their coverage cut in half. It's the craziest thing in the world.
You know, folks, we're having a lot of trouble here tonight, so I'm going to go to my first guest, Boris Epstein. All right, Boris, I had an open that I can't seem to get on the screen here, but let me ask you this.
Sure.
The last 24 hours for Donald Trump, very difficult? Or is this something that you guys expected would be coming down as part of an October surprise?
So we didn't expect it, but we did expect for the Clintons to continue to try to play in the gutter. And it's a typical move, right? They're desperate. They know we're winning because the American people want change. 76% of Americans want change.
She was ahead 2 points, you know, which I get. It's not enough for her to be comfortable.
So go ahead.
So Donald Trump has made a decision. He's staying in the race.
Of course.
No way he's getting out?
There's no way he's getting out. I spoke to him today. He's 100% committed, and this campaign is committed. And here's why. Listen, these were terrible words. I'm a father. I'm a son of a very strong woman, a grandson of a strong woman, a husband of a strong woman, and I didn't like hearing that, just like Mrs. Trump didn't like hearing it. But she has accepted his apology, and everyone else needs to as well. And let's move on. Let's move on to the issues that matter. You spoke about it in your open. Benghazi, Iran, Syria, the failed reset with Russia, China. Look at the whole spectrum of Hillary Clinton's career just as Secretary of State. Then go beyond that. Total inconsequential senator.
But wait, Boris, I know all this stuff. Here's the thing. Women are a segment that Donald Trump needs to get to win this election. This is, I guarantee you, is something that's going to hurt him.
Listen, it's going to hurt.
So how does he make up for it?
You have 30 days. You make up for it by talking about the issues that matter. Do women matter about some things said, some really comments that are disappointing, but banter from 11 years ago? Or do they care about keeping their children safe? And what they care about is keeping their children safe. I know that for a fact. They care about being safe. They care about jobs. And listen, the Clintons don't have a leg to stand on here, right? We all know about their background. And I'm not even going to wade into their marriage. We all know about it. We all know about the women.
Well, it's not so much about the marriage. I mean, it's about her treatment of the women in the marriage. But how is Donald going to handle this tomorrow night?
He's going to be strong on it. He's going to be strong on the whole.
Right off the bat?
I'm expecting again, and we as a campaign are concentrated on the issues that everyday Americans care about, right? Just look at NAFTA, 700,000 jobs lost. Look at the immigration crisis, 10,000 Syrian refugees just in the last 12 months. Look at everything that's gone on in this country. It's less safe now than it was 8 years ago. 70% of people believe that. So having said that, listen, the Clintons have started this discussion. They've waded into it. So if the opportunity comes up, is Donald Trump going to address how she's treated women, how she smeared them and bullied them throughout her career?
All right, let me ask you this. This was timed. We all knew WikiLeaks was coming out.
Yeah.
This conversation that Donald Trump had with Billy Bush was 11 years ago.
11 years ago.
Now, there are those who were whispering about this a few days ago. Did Hillary Clinton wait until the WikiLeaks came out to make a decision to leak this stuff? And if more WikiLeaks is coming out, as Julian Assange is promising, can we expect that there'll be more anti-Trump comments coming out?
Listen, in 30 days, I assume the dirty Clinton politics will try to use everything they can against us because they don't want real change. They represent the Washington elite from both the Democrat and the Republican side. And let me tell you something. In my experience, I don't have respect for those that run for the hills whenever there's a sign of trouble.
Yeah, and what about those Republicans? What about Paul Ryan? I mean, what about, and I think we have a list of all of those Republicans, who either once endorsed him or endorsed him and then pulled him back or never endorsed him. What are they looking to do?
They're all American citizens, and it's their right. But what they're doing is they're ignoring the voters. The 14 million Republicans who came out for Donald Trump, the tens of millions coming out now. Do you know what kind of emails and calls we're getting at the campaign? Stay in it, Donald. We're not electing a Sunday school teacher. We're electing a president. That's what people care about. That's what they want in their leader. They want somebody who's going to have action, who will do the right thing for this country. And, listen, are the words, again, disappointing? Yes, they are. But is that what people are going to vote on November 8th? Absolutely not.
All right. And what do you think she's going to do tomorrow night in the debate? I mean, do you think that she teed up that whole Miss Universe knowing that this language was going to be coming out and then made a decision that, it's like a cumulative effect. I'll add that on to what we already know from 20 years ago?
Well, she's pretty robotic. We know that. She's pretty scripted. So I'm sure she has some very memorized line, just like Tim Kaine did in the VP debate, that she'll try to use. But Mr. Trump's ready. He's ready, and he's going to come in there, and he will show Americans once again why he's the leader we need going forward and not the same old we've had for the last 40 years.
And how do you explain to the American people that, Donald Trump clearly wasn't planning on running for this his whole life, so I'm sure there's a lot of language out there. How do you explain to the American people that words are different than actions? How does Donald do that?
Well, I think most Americans, as they look at their homes, look at their families, people use salty language, and men will be men and women will be women. And there's salty language across genders, across backgrounds.
If that's true, why are so many men horrified by this kind of language? Are they, I've never been in a men's locker room or, in a frat house. People say this is the way they talk.
Well, listen, I've been in, I played football in college. There is something to that, but that does not take away from the fact that these comments should not just be excused and go away. And I do echo what Mrs. Trump said, and what Mr. Trump said specifically, where he apologized. And you know what I thought was really great about that statement? When he said, I'm going to be a better man tomorrow. And all of us in this country should want to be better people the next day and concentrate on that and have a better day for our country the next day. But all Hillary Clinton cares about is becoming president and then, maybe getting more money for some sort of pay-to-play scandal, because that's what she's been doing throughout her career. Remember, they rented out the Lincoln bedroom, then she rented out the State Department. She wants to do the same to the whole White House. Donald Trump will not allow that to happen. All right, Boris Epstein, thanks so much for being here with us in St. Louis. And joining me now is someone with a slightly different take on the news in the last 24 hours, liberal radio talk show host Coco Sudek. All right, Coco.
Hello, Judge.
Language that we don't approve of. And certainly language that is going to hurt Donald Trump with women like yourself and other people. But don't you think that this is the kind of language that, no matter what he says, you'll never forgive him for because it's all about politics?
No, I think he's an abysmal human being. I think he's an abomination. But let's talk about what you talked about, which is actions matter more than words. So let's put his words aside. This is a man who's been sued for rape of his wife, a business associate, and a 13-year-old kid.
No,
and that's a case that's winding its way through the courts.
He
has been sued for rape 3 times.
Coco, stop.
That's actions, not words.
Coco, look, there's only one thing that I want to ask you, and that is, if I'm asking you a question and you say something that's not factual and I say stop, then we got to start all over, okay?
It was
a matrimonial. She withdrew that. But what about the fact that Bill Clinton is someone who actually had to pay $850,000 for taking something out of his pants and showing it to Paula Jones? And then he had an intern semen, that his semen was on an intern's dress. I mean, are you really going to go there? We're talking about language versus actions.
I will say that Bill Clinton's peccadillos were very good for Halloween costumes everywhere, but he's not on the ballot.
It's that simple.
He's not running, and I'm not voting for him.
But
I'm
he gets back in the White House if she wins.
Right, as the first spouse. Why? But is Melania responsible for Donald Trump's words and actions? Is she responsible for every bad thing this guy does?
No, she's not. And the reason Hillary is Hillary created a career in a war room to take on the women who criticized her husband. And a woman, Juanita Broderick, who claims that Bill Clinton raped her, says that she was threatened by Hillary. So, I mean, they're totally different. We're talking about a locker room conversation between two guys in television.
This isn't a locker room conversation. This is a man who boasted. He boasted about sexually assaulting women. Look, let's put that aside.
No.
The thing that is really egregious about Donald Trump, the thing that's really egregious is not his words. You know what it is? It's the fact that this guy is not a patriot. It's the fact that he has no respect for the United States or its laws. He doesn't pay taxes. He doesn't obey the law. He doesn't obey his creditors.
Let me ask you a question, Coco.
He is an irresponsible human being who should not be anywhere near the White House.
The only candidate here was investigated by the FBI for a year with over 100 agents on her case, and a Clinton Foundation, a 501c3 that they won't even look at because they've already decided she needs to be president. Don't even go there. She's lied to Congress. She lied to the American people over and over again.
Trump's Foundation isn't even registered to take donations in. Trump's Foundation.
And the Clinton Foundation is? Do you know how many European countries are looking at the Clinton Foundation? Well, let's not go there.
The Clinton Foundation is a great charity.
How is it that Hillary Clinton and her husband are responsible for 25% of our uranium being sold to Putin, who now owns 25% of the uranium in this country because of his deal through the foundation? You feel good about that, Coco, too?
I mean, I feel a lot better about anything that you're going to say than a guy like Trump, who is beholden to Putin and Putin's oligarchs, who is in the tank for this guy because he needs their money.
How is he beholden? Hillary did the reset and sold our uranium to Russia. Oh, stop it, Coco.
That's just craziness. That's the type of talk that you guys have been pushing on the Clintons for years. The thing is, the Clintons must be the greatest criminals in history because you guys have spent billions of dollars investigating them, and you've never been able to really find a fact that is incriminating. These are great public servants. You've just made them look like horrible people all these years.
How do you become a $200 million person that when you've got no company, nothing to sell, not even a website, it's all pay to play, Coco?
I'll tell you how Trump did it. He inherited his money.
Cement
and then he inherited his money.
And money.
No, he inherited everything.
All right, Coco, you're never going to vote for Donald.
You're never going to vote for Hillary, but she's going to be your president.
We're going to be right back with Pastor Robert Jeffers.